Tuck, welcome to the show. Thanks for making time for this.
Dude, of course. I just taking a break from my Magic the Gathering game in the other room to come and have some fun with you.
Are your orcs winning? How does that work?
I'm playing an angel deck currently, and because I like frilly, cutesy things, of course.
Okay.
But there is some tie into, like, say, Dungeons and Dragons now as well from some later sets and with the popularity of Stranger Things and stuff like that. But
how do you feel about that?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it helps for the growth of the game and like for sales and stuff like that. So I think from that aspect of it, it's pretty cool where, like, you know, there's some people like me who like when they do a collab card with Godzilla and have that kind of theme, but some people really want to play as 11, you know. So I totally get, you know, both sides of the coin. Or like, you know, they did a recent one where it was all Dracula themed shit. And
I see,
you know, as a, you know, former Molgoth, I think that's pretty cool.
So you put on your trench coat.
Yeah, why not?
Play some Manson on the boombox and slap your binder of Magic cards down in the mall food court.
It's, you know, I guess as now that I'm older, it's funny.
Now that you say it like that.
Yeah, right. But since we came back to touring, it was the thing. I didn't play Magic in the past. I grew up doing like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and stuff like that, but we couldn't hang out with anybody. I couldn't even have like my wife backstage and shit. So that first run, a bunch of dudes were like, yo, let's play Magic. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So jumped into it, and now I'm thoroughly obsessed. It's very fun.
And your wife is leaving you because she's like, I did not sign up to date a Magic player.
Yeah, pretty much. She is being very patient and kind in the other room. So right now, my other project, I have this like emo side project thing called Off-Road Minivan. And we're working on a record right now. So my bandmates are staying with me while we record, and they're over in the other room. So she's just secluded to reading currently and being in headphones and trying to not have to deal with our bullshit.
Bless her heart.
Yeah.
Well, you have a new album coming out on October 28th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Called The Hell We Create.
It is, that is the title, and that is the date. Yes, sir. That's when it's coming out.
Well, I'm excited to see how this one is received. You sent me some of the tracks, and sounds great. Sounds like, you know, what you want Fit for a King to be. So I'm excited to see how it's received. Where would you say that you are at right now, that the band is at, as far as, you know, the Reddit hype cycle? Because you were Reddit's favorite band in what, 2019, 2020.
It's funny. I think back on our previous conversation where we talked about it, and I think at that time, especially for, you know, being in, you know, the COVID cycle and stuff like that, at that time the Path did well, but as the record lingered, more of our fans were like, yeah, that didn't really do it for me. And the main part from that record was we didn't get heavy enough to appease like the older fans and stuff like that. There was a couple songs like God of Fire that are heavy, but didn't quite get there. So I think this record, for the Reddit core kids, for our fan base, is going to be a little more ear pleasing. And so far, I think we're pretty on the money with that, where like the last single comments are all like, this is the best song since, I shouldn't say all. There is a chunk of positive comments that refer to like, this is my favorite song since When Everything Means Nothing. And that was the fucking goal. Like, that's what we wanted. So we listened. We had to like pour through the comments. And if you see one comment of a fan being like, not heavy enough, sure. When it's a lot of them, just listen. Like, don't.
I agree with that. You know, I think it's the standard response, like, oh, just do what you want, you know, don't listen to people, fuck them. I don't agree with that. I do the same thing with my videos. Like, if, you know, 20%, and like normally like 3% dislikes on a video would be normal. If I get 20% dislikes on a video, I'm not going to make more videos like that because people fucking hate it.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing was, we wrote that record to go play on a Parkway Drive tour, not have the pandemic, have everyone be happy, hunky-dory, light shit on fire, smash
Right.
beers, and have a good time. We did not expect the world to fucking end. So when we wrote that record, we had totally different goals and aspirations for it. And we were so much more looking forward to, like, we're going out on this huge tour. It's the biggest tour we've ever been invited on. Let's go do that. And let's cater to that crowd because we like that shit. So, you know, you sometimes you swing and you miss like a little bit. And we still at least had some songs on there that the fans seemed really happy with. So we learned overall. And, you know, like, as you know, with Drew and stuff like that, we're always trying to go outside the box. We're not just like going in there like, hey, let's do the same exact thing we did last time and just see if it works. Because that's boring. That's not fun for him or for us.
Now, some people would say that, you know, doing what the fans want and listening to their feedback like that, some people would say that that's selling out or pandering. I don't see things that way, but how would you
I think it's being
respond
good
to
at
that?
business.
I think it's respecting your fans too.
Yeah, because I don't want to lose them. And I always want to gain more fans. And I think that there are opportunities and chances you take on records. For instance, last record, song like The Path or a song like Locked in My Head, a little more radio friendly, a little more to like, let's aim for FM. That's taking a chance on something. But if I delivered a whole record of songs like that, we're going to piss off so many people there. They may not come back for this record, the hell we create. So even on that album where we tried to do some anthemic Parkway stuff, we tried to do some more singy FM stuff, we still tried to balance it. But what we learned was we didn't balance it well enough. We got too excited by that shit, and we ended up going a little bit farther that way. So when they listen to this album, it's not that we're necessarily catering just to them. I'm not happy if the band isn't being like fully well received and everyone's really happy with us. And not only are our fans happy, but we're gaining more fans constantly. So this effort on this record was in a sense to, you know, still continue to grow and be able to expand, but make sure that the stuff that Fit for a King is supposed to do is nailed. It is just tight and like end. You still get some soft parts, you get a big chorus, but did we give you a really big dumb breakdown? Of course we did.
Of course.
And, you know, that's what we're supposed to do. So
yeah.
You know.
Well, when I listened to it, and I just gave it a quick listen, but when I listened to it, it felt to me, in a good way, like kind of an update of that 2004 kind of sound, like a band that would tour with Killswitch and like, you know, old school Parkway. It felt like that to me. And I feel like people are really ready for that sound to be back.
Agreed. I think that you're hearing it implemented even in some of the like tougher genres. Like I think that the like Knocked Loose to Boundaries to Orthodox and A Dozen Black Roses and all these kinds of like cool, more niche bands, they've got Dying Wish, stuff like that. There's lots of Killswitch riffs going on, and that's where bands like theirs and bands like ours unite, where we all love that band. And I agree with you. It definitely was a big influence. Now having Daniel, you know, who's our like latest guitar player, he was kind of around during the Path, but this was his first one like really writing with us. He also plays guitar in a band called Phineas that's very Killswitch to the max riff mode. So you know, we tuned him down a little bit on this for us because we don't quite go that crazy. But yeah, we definitely wanted to. There was like a festival we played and Killswitch played, and we also got this by playing with As I Lay Dying. When you play a guitar riff that the crowd sings the lead guitar riff,
then you know
that's the coolest shit. Yeah, and that was one thing that we hadn't really experienced and noticed until, you know, the last couple of years, and it's something that we've been kind of striving for and hoping to hit, you know.
I think that sound has like an upbeat, like high energy kind of vibe that the gent kind of thing just doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, and we just can't, I think for what our band caters towards, we want that more energetic live show where people are just more circle pit, push pit, and going crazy rather than watching us for like crazy technical riffs, because we're really not a technical band. I mean, I'm throwing my guitar half the fucking time and
Right.
maybe hitting some notes here and there. And I just think when, early on, we learned from that lesson. We have a record called Slave to Nothing, where that one we kind of, Sempiternal was out and North Lane was out and all
Right.
that stuff influenced us. And we very quickly learned, like, no, this is not for us either. And that's just kind of how it goes. That happens, and then you write Death Grip and it goes really good. And then,
Mhm.
you go to Dark Skies and that works, but then you try The Path and that's, like, technically, sure, it was a successful record, but something that we learned from and we needed to do better at. So I think this one's a good amalgamation of all things.
Well, you guys have done a good job of kind of experimenting with different things, but you've never like really, whiffed.
Thank
It's like maybe there were some things that you liked or didn't like or whatever, but there was never, the album that you put out and everyone's like, ew, why did you do that?
That's how I would like to feel. I think we've done pretty good at being able to like test the waters, but not be too repetitive and not piss off too many people, but it's hard, man. And even as a music listener and a fan, I try not to be too judgmental with that kind of stuff where like, even my favorite bands, I'm going to get like, you know, say it's Thrice, I get to be everywhere after the comeback, and that's the greatest record ever. But like, yeah, it ended on Beggars, and I was like, it's not that great. So
Right.
like, we all have our albums. It's not the worst. I still like that album, but it's not as great as something that's, The Artist in the Ambulance.
I still try to, have like sometimes I'll listen to one of those albums or they'll put out an album like that where they do something really crazy. And I'm like, I hate this. But then I try to sort of think about it from the other perspective and say, but I appreciate that they had the balls to try it. Even if I don't necessarily like it, I respect it.
Oh yeah, and sometimes your perception just changes bases off of time where like, think about the first time this, genre-wise totally off base, but first time I heard the band The War on Drugs, I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
is the worst Bob Dylan ass shit I've ever heard in my life. And I like Bob Dylan. But then their newest record, I Don't Live Here Anymore, one
Mm-hmm.
of my favorite records of all time. I've
Like
just been like so obsessed with it, and I don't, yeah, just came out of nowhere.
I didn't like Amo the first time I heard it. I
Yeah.
was just like, what the fuck is this? And I didn't listen to it for like a year. And I listened to it again. I was like, wait a minute. Why did I not like this? This is actually fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. And I think that a lot of Bring Me's fans, the more they come back to it, it was almost so tasty and seasoned that you just at the
Uh-huh.
time like it was shocking and you can't quite get it, and then like you go back to it and you have this new appreciation for those songs, and it just, those guys are the epitome of being artists while staying within like this, they understand their fan base so well yet are always able to expand upon it. And
Yeah.
that's the problem, is there are bands that want to like take influence like that, but then they have to find the way to like be themselves. Really great new example of that, fucking new Bad Omens record, in my opinion. I'm just like, because
I got
that's
to
a
give that
band.
one another listen because I always said I wanted them to be more pop and they
Yep.
did go more pop and I didn't like it and everyone's telling me I should like it. So I'm going to try again because maybe it's one of these things where I just didn't give it the right headspace or I don't know.
It was when I was, I think it's really well done. I think it's a great record. It's one that makes me almost want to like stop and be like, man, am I putting enough time and effort into this? Because I think that they're putting in that much. Um, which is part of listening to like a band like a Bring Me, where it's not just a fluke and it's not
Right.
whimsical. I think it's very methodical, and hopefully more people will be inspired to want to focus on their art in that way some more. And I think that was another thing that, just outside of writing the songs, that the crew and I, and particularly Kirby, really wanted to do, was just take our time and like make sure everything is mint before it comes out. Like, stop rushing through things, because you really do only have one shot per album, and per every fan that you already have or that you're trying to gain, you might push them away and they might never come back,
Yep.
So, definitely
Yep.
trying to cherish it some more, I think.
Are you guys one of those bands that's always writing and then you just record it? Or are you like, okay, we got to write an album, let's do it all in a month or whatever?
Most of it's just on a whim with Drew. Sometimes there's some stuff that's pre-written, like there's a few pieces on the new album that were pre-written, primarily like chorus stuff. If I come in with an idea, say, like the song Reaching Out, something like that. But the whimsical stuff, when we are just writing on a fluke, it's crazy. Like there's the next single for the record. It's a song called Falling Through the Sky. And I have my favorite memory of making this album where I'm just outside on the porch and, it's LA, it's really nice out, and, just hanging out on my own and like doing a little doink and being me, doing my thing. And Kirby comes outside and he's just like, dude, I wrote this chorus. I want to show it to you. I think it's really good. And he just plays the song over his phone, the instrumental, and he starts singing it to me. And he shows me the lyrics, and I was just like, that's it, dude. That's the one. That's it. Best thing he's ever written. And it's so cool to have those moments with someone where you've like watched this guy go from just being like a screamer to learning how to sing, to singing a lot, to being like the front man. And the whole thing that we want to do with this album is like really show everyone how much like he is a star and what he is capable of doing. And I think that when people hear this next song, they're going to be like, holy shit. Like I did not know he was capable of that. And to know, like, he went in the other room and he wrote it and he came to me and he showed it to me. And like, because when you are working with a Drew sometimes too, people be like, well, what'd you do? What did he do? What
Yeah.
did,
Well, tell people, explain that for everyone.
So Drew,
We're talking about Drew Fulk, aka
yeah.
Wizard Blood.
And
great producer.
Yeah, the dude is a fantastic producer. He has really come up with artists like Motionless and White and still works on their records, but he has also done Wage War, but he's also, cut tracks with like Poor Stacy, and then he's also done like Lil Peep. He's done Travis Scott. He's done crazy stuff. It goes all over the place from the pop to hip hop to metalcore world, but he did truly grow his chops in the metalcore world. And like, for instance, there was a big wave of stuff when the Chelsea Grin Hostage record came out, and the Amir first record with like Josh Travis and Dark Skies came out, and Plotting You, the record that has like Disposable Fix and everything on it, and all that stuff, all Drew at the same time.
Right.
It's just crazy, like wave of motion of influence from this one person. So with that and that capability, that having someone like that in your camp,
and he's the type of person who, producer can mean a lot of different things. It might mean some producers are more just like, I'm going to record you in the best way that I possibly can. Other producers might help you write the song, but aren't necessarily going to record it very, like Feldman, for example, is more of a writer than, an engineer. Drew is more of a Feldman type of guy.
Yeah.
He's more of a writer than an engineer.
Yeah, and he has a partner named Jeff Dunn that helps to like do the mixing aspect with
awesome
him.
Mixer.
And like, for instance, when it comes to even the guitars on this latest record, Daniel tracked them at Drew's just after, like, we'll write with Drew and then we'll be like, okay, all the parts are right. Be like, cool, Dan, have fun. Yeah. And just, because Dan also is a fantastic engineer and has done a bunch of records. So like, it's easy to be able to do that. And it's just not, if you don't have to just sit there and be like, yeah, that chug is perfectly in tune. Cool.
Right.
Daniel and Bob are perfectly capable of that at this point. So like you said, Drew just focuses on the writing aspect. And with that, we really write with him from scratch. There will be times where we come at him with an idea, like I have a chorus idea on acoustic and I play it for him. And then we're like, okay, cool. Let's try this. Let's see how it sounds in this element.
But to your point, when you hear a new song come out and it's awesome and you see that Drew worked on it, you're like, well, did the band write that, or did Drew write that, or you don't know unless you were in the room.
And there are people that approach it differently where like we definitely do a lot of like writing with him. There are some people like a Cody Keystad, for instance. I mean, that guy writes a billion fucking songs.
Super good songwriter.
Josh Travis writes a billion fucking like Josh doesn't just have like, well, I wrote 15 songs. No, Josh wrote like 100 songs, and then they pick what is the best or what's the best riffs and the best stuff that they build off of. Like, you know, so everyone's got a different approach to it, and Drew is always capable of molding himself to that person and that team. You know, I've heard really cool things about the way that the new State Champs record came together and how they worked on the vocals with that, and the whole camp being in on lyrics and stuff. So the guy is super, super malleable. But yeah, like I think this one, just the blend of him, the blend of the band, the influence of now, since we've done 2 records with him, I think we were able to kind of like take the best of both and like learn from it. And
you guys know each other very well at this point.
Yeah, you know, so it's not a strange relationship. And that, you know, that's what's such a joy about getting to do it with him is, you know, we like to hang out with him. We like to hang out with his partner and the people that are around him and his camp and stuff like that. So it helps to make the record feel even that much more special. But yeah, dude's crazy talented.
He's a beast.
Man. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about touring. Because I know you got this tour coming up with Pierce the Veil. Do you guys, I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, I feel like you guys don't hit the European circuit as much as maybe some other people do.
Well, yeah. And one, I will say, just to preface this, technically the I Prevail tour. It's I Prevail, Pierce the Veil, us, and there's no like rotating to the
Noted.
headlining. But super blessed to be there. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, we haven't been to Europe in a while. So essentially, I'll just, you know, I've kind of noted this on my own podcast, so I'll just say it. So there's like a Never Say Die lineup that's out right now. And we were supposed to be on that, but we got this. And even like our Euro agents, like, you go do that.
Yeah.
You like, and there's just been a couple times where, you know, we had a full world tour planned pre-COVID, so that crammed that. And then when you're coming back, it would have been nice to go to Europe, but I was very fixated on money. And when you go to Europe, you don't make very much of it. So we played the US a lot, and it was, you know, maybe a bit much, but we did it a lot, and it was helpful. And but now we do have quite a bit of plans for us to come back to Europe, and actually sooner than expected. We'll be having an announcement for a European tour within the next couple weeks, and one that I'm very, very excited about. The lineup is sick. We're not headlining, we'll be supporting, and it should be solid for us.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because there are also a lot of bands who make all their money in Europe.
Oh yeah, like there's the Lionhearts, the Stick to Your Guns, the bands that really, really crush over there. And the problem for us is because we've missed it a couple times. We've only been there 3 times. It's harder for us, where now luckily we're at a place where the offers are starting to catch up, and it's making things more worthwhile. But that's the other thing. You go over there and you eat it once or twice. Oh, it's fucking hard. I've had some of the hardest times of my touring in general on those runs. And I don't know if it's just, you know, timing and, you know, who you're around and stuff like that. And you know, it's a little bit more difficult. Plus you
want those big festival paydays, you got to pay your dues.
Oh, absolutely. And we got to play a couple Empiricons, you know, pre-COVID, and man, those things are absolutely insane. And speaking of which, you know, you watch like a Stick to Your Guns play, you know, headlining to those people at an Empiricon festival, you're like, holy shit, this band is fucking massive. It is super, super cool. But yeah, we're trying to make a concerted effort to go back more now. I feel like we've been able to recover enough where, like, you know, just the amount of debt that bands had going into COVID, and then finally getting through that and then coming back. Definitely ourselves, we were a little fixated on that aspect first, which isn't
But you have to be.
necessarily
It's
the
not
best,
because
but
you're greedy. It's because you guys weren't able to tour for a year and a half.
yeah, I gotta live, I
Yeah.
gotta be comfy.
You have to.
But so we've been very, very blessed with our agent being really nice and allowing us to be malleable, where the Never Say Die tour, great lineup. We were very, very, very excited and wanted to do it. This is just one of those opportunities that you don't pass up. Like, you're going to play in front of roughly like 120,000 people over the course of 42 shows.
Damn, that's crazy.
Like,
that's a long tour too.
Yeah, it's broken into 2 halves based around the When We Were Young festival. So you get like a week off in the middle of it. And the reality is Prevail hasn't played in 5 years.
Right.
We're playing right before that band. All the people that are going to see them pretty much don't know who the fuck we are. They don't care. They're just trying to get as close to Vic Fuentes as possible. We're there on happenstance.
They will stab you to get to Vic if they have to.
Fuck yeah. Best opportunity for our band. You know what I mean? Like, releasing a record that I think will translate with some of these people definitely translates with I Prevail's fans.
Yep.
But it's just one of those, you gotta do it. And I'm gonna sing King for a Day every day. And it's gonna be great. And hopefully Kellen shows up for his part sometime.
Perfect timing with them blowing up on TikTok too.
Yeah, seriously. That band just, they continue to amaze me. Like, because even, when they were playing, we did, I think it was Warped Tour 2017 or, one of those, maybe it was 15 that they were on it. But
yeah,
they've just always been able to remain so dominant. But like, when I was young, I worked at Merch Now, and I remember hearing stories about even when they were before Today, and just their reputation, I think, exceeds them a bit. They're just, everyone says that not only are they so talented, but they're just the nicest, hardest working guys. So it's cool to see that band be able to make such a strong comeback and have such a big tour to get to do it on. So I think it's gonna be sick.
Cool. Well, I will let you go. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully I'll catch you guys if you roll through Seattle or Portland.
Yeah, man, I'll hit you up. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Dude, take care. Bye.
All right, bye, bud.